Hello, welcome to World Business Report. I'm Jamie Robertson. Let's go straight to the US because she's finally taken up the hot seat after months of waiting. Janet Yellen will chair the second day of her first Federal Reserve meeting. The biggest test of her leadership now will be how she manages the central bank's shift from firefighting mode over to normal mode. The Fed's already begun cutting its large cash injections, launched at the height of the financial crisis. That was nearly 6 years ago. Michelle Fleury is outside the Federal Reserve in Washington, D.C., joins me now. Is it really going to be steady as she goes, going to carry on in the same old way, do you think?
Well, what's interesting is that people are describing this to me as a transitional moment for the Federal Reserve, not just because of the change of leadership, but also, Jamie, where we are in the economy at the moment. If you look at the US, we've seen sort of a recovery. There have been blips along the way. We've had all those weather problems, which will be interesting to see if she addresses some of those concerns at the meeting later on. But broadly speaking, there's a sense that the US is slowly recovering. And therefore, the challenge for the Fed is how to remove some of the extraordinary stimulus that it's put in place ever since the height of the financial crisis.
Well, the idea was to take away $10 billion every month. That's going to continue.
That's right. They started this policy. They announced it back in December when Ben Bernanke was still head of the Federal Reserve. Since Janet Yellen came into the top position, she has continued that policy. We expect the Fed will announce another $10 billion cut in the amount of bonds they purchase each month. So they're still buying bonds, they're still stimulating the economy, but they're just not buying as many. The other big change that's expected, Jamie, has to do with the language, something called forward guidance. And it's essentially a pledge by the Fed to try and keep rates ultra low, or not to raise rates as long as unemployment was above 6.5%. Well, we're now currently getting closer and closer to that. In February, the unemployment rate here was at 6.7%. And so there's a sense that that language needs to be removed because no one yet believes that the job is done or that the jobs market here in America is back to normal.
Can one see a point at which interest rates are actually going to rise, do you think, in the States yet, or is that still too far off?
Well, I mean, the Fed has indicated in the sort of previous meetings and previous statements that they don't see rates going up until mid to late 2015. And if you talk to economists, at the moment that is the view. But that's why this meeting is so crucial, Jamie, is people are going to be poring not only over the statement that the Fed issues, but also separately they release their growth forecast, where they think the US economy is going to go in terms of growth, but also in terms of jobs, in terms of inflation. And when you look at all of that together, that should give people a sort of clearer sense of kind of how far out the people in this building believe that the US is from getting back to normal.
Michelle, we'll be back with you when they come out with their announcement later on today. Michelle Fleury, thanks very much indeed. Let's have a look at some of the other news around in business.